recording. Hi. Hi. It's Annie from Beacon Empowerment Strategies, and I'm back with a video. And it's been a while since I've been on, and to be honest with you, I was dealing with like the backlash, both external, things that have happened because I started these videos with people that I know, and then also the inner backlash, like my own fears that have come up with putting myself out into the world of the YouTube, out into the universe, more for people to hear, see, and judge. And it has been a trip. But as things continue to happen in life, I find myself feeling like I have to get back on here and talk because somebody's got to say some of the things that need to be said. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's got to say it. So I have like a list next to me of all of the possible topics of things that I can talk about because there's so many things that I want to talk about. And I'm not really sure where to begin. What would be of most value to you? So I'm going to start by talking about values. Okay, here's the deal. We all have values that we say kind of drive our life, right? They help us make decisions. When we are in a quandary, many times we resort back to, well, what are my values and how can I make a decision that's aligned with my values? And I think for the most part, a lot of people do this, right? Unconsciously, though. I don't think everybody is really conscious fully of their values, right? So in this conversation about values, I'm going to invite you to do some activities. And here's the first one. We're already up. Teacher Annie coming at you. Assignment, homework, get your notebook. So the first thing that I want you to do is to sit down. You can even Google like a list of values, things that I value, and write them out. Write them out. Get really, really clear on your values. And kind of like some examples of how those values show up in your life. So if I value integrity, right? Okay. Where can I think of ways that I intentionally take action that's aligned with my own integrity? Where has my integrity maybe been challenged or compromised? And what was the decision that I made in order to stay in alignment with integrity, right? That's just one example. So give yourself some some examples, I guess, some space to play with your values because we have to kind of see our values in action in order to become more conscious and aware of them when we are out in the world having to make split decisions when something comes up and it's like, what am I going to do, right? And here's what I know. So many people will be in a situation and something feels wrong or off and they know it, or they witness something, right, that feels wrong or off. And that is really what I'm seeing, what I'm witnessing, or what I'm experiencing doesn't align with my values. I think we all know that. We can sense those things. We're like, that's wrong. That's just wrong, right? The hard part is to be empowered. It is to call out culture, not cancel, but call out. Cancel sometimes, maybe not, but call out whatever it is that is out of alignment with your values. I think it's especially important to think about things that happen that are out of alignment with your values that may not impact you, but impact our brothers and sisters in this world, particularly our brothers and sisters that are Black and brown. Time out. Brothers and sisters who are Black and brown. So here's a belief that I believe everybody needs to have. I believe that in order for our world to be effective, we need to move through the world, right, with the understanding that everyone in this human race is my family. They're my family. So if something is happening to a person in real time that I see, and it is out of alignment with my values, it's my job to speak on it because we're all family. You don't get to turn a blind eye. Okay? No more blindness, no more blinders. Maybe that's what I should talk about, blindness. I think I can go deep into a convo on that. But right now we're talking about values, of getting aligned with your values, and then being empowered with your values. Okay. So everybody, we're all brothers and sisters. We're all a family. Okay? We're all a family. And we all need to wake up to that truth because we can see how some people in our family, some members of our family, are being treated quite unfairly. There's a lot of injustice that's happening for some of our brothers and sisters who may not be white or wealthy or straight or Christian or, right? So whatever isn't in the dominant main culture, which is typically what we would call whiteness, right? It's our duty to be our brother's keeper, sister's keeper. Does that apply? And stand up in alignment with our values so that we have a better place. So let me give you an example. The other day, I was at Crispin Green getting a salad. I love their no prob cob. If you haven't had it, get it. I like to add quinoa to it too. So I'm at Crispin Green, and everybody that is behind the counter is Latino, is a Latina woman, I believe, right? So there are brown-bodied women behind the counter making the salads, right? Everybody on the other side is white. Not surprising. And you have to wear your mask, right? Like, we have to wear masks. We're in a pandemic. Well, in walks a younger white girl. And whiteness matters here, right? Well, Annie, why do you have to talk about white? Whiteness matters because people who have privilege and power demonstrate arrogance and entitlement in ways that people of color don't have the freedom to do. And that's because we live in a society that has been centered around white people. And it has been centered on the oppression of anybody who isn't white, okay? So I'm not trying to offend anyone in particular, any one specific person, but when you hear the term white supremacy or whiteness or any of these things, look at the history of our country and you can see who's had the power from jump and who hasn't, okay? And because of that history, those of us who are white grow up with these beliefs thinking that we are more entitled, we have more arrogance, we don't think about each other in the same way that people of color have to do because we are cushioned, protected from pain and suffering and harm that could come if we weren't white, right? And we may not even consciously understand that, but that's the backstory on that. So anyway, old girl walks in, right? And she doesn't have a mask on. And she recognizes it as soon as she walks in. Like, I hear her mouth I see her mouth go, oh, fuck, I don't have a mask. And I was like, is she really going to come up in here and stay in line without a mask? And so she proceeds to go up to the front. And of course, the women behind the counter, the workers there, right, are afraid to say something to her, right? And out from the back comes somebody else and is like, excuse me, ma'am, you have to have a mask on. And she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I forgot. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, I forgot my mask. Can I just order a salad really quick? I'll keep my shirt like this. Like, I'll just do this. And the next thing you know, she's ordering like this, whatever. I digress. But anyway, she tries to justify why she should be allowed to stay in there and order a salad. And there was this like a power struggle that I could sense where it was like the people who were working at Crispin Green did not feel comfortable enough. They weren't empowered enough to be able to say, no, I'm sorry, you can't be in here without a mask on. Like, that's the rules are the rules. There's a sign on the door, right? But they didn't. They folded. And I don't judge that, right? I'm not judging them for that. I mean, empowerment, getting to an empowered place where you have the courage to call things out that you know are wrong, it takes it can take some intentional effort to build up that kind of confidence in order to hold people accountable for shit that's wrong, right? So I wasn't judging the people that weren't doing it, but I was looking at this girl like, you're really gonna stay in this line and justify not having it? And I was like, okay, so I'm gonna watch. Then I watched, and she was like kind of like this, but for the most part, she wouldn't even keep her sweatshirt up over her face. So she, not only did she think she could be in Crispin Green without a mask on, she also felt like she didn't have to cover her mouth up. Like, how somebody thinks that they don't have to do that they're above the rules, like that they're untouchable, boggles my mind. And there is nothing that grinds my gears more than people who act with entitlement. And it's not just entitlement, it's carelessness, right? She, in her mind, her salad was more important than the lives of the people in this restaurant, mine included, right? Now, I know COVID. And I mean, I don't know it personally, but I know that COVID impacts communities that are Black and brown at a higher rate and with what feels like more intensity than it does white people, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm standing in line and I'm watching this, and there's a guy next to me, and I start laughing like, is this really happening? And he kind of giggles at me and he's like, yeah. And I'm like, fuck it, I can't not say something. Like, this is so wrong. Like, and it came down to my own values, right? I was like, well, Annie, this is wrong. And I was like, yeah, it's wrong. Mind you, this is all happening in my head. And I was like, okay, well, if you consider yourself to be a person who acts in alignment with your values and stands in your integrity and believes that it is our duty as human brothers and sisters to hold each other accountable in those times where we may be acting careless or arrogant or disconnected from other people, when we're acting selfish or when we're only thinking of our individual needs, if you feel like it's our duty to hold each other accountable for those practices, which is also called like habits of white supremacy, if you believe that it's in order to dismantle these ways of being, right, I believe, you have to call them out. You have to name them when you see them, or things will never change. So then I was like, oh, fuck. Well, here I go. I gotta say something. So I turn to her and I say my piece and whatever, and she's got nothing but excuses, right? It's not a law, it's a mandate. Do you even know what a mandate is? And I was like, are you serious right now? This is what you're gonna say? Like, you're gonna argue with me about a like verse, whether it's a mandate or a law, and you're not gonna actually own up to the fact that you're wrong for being in here without a mask, when it says clearly that in order to come in here, you have to have a mask on. I mean, the entitlement and the privilege and the arrogance, I mean, it disgusts me, right? It completely and totally disgusts me how some people can act like they're the center of the universe and the realities and the lives of everybody around them don't matter. That's a problem in society, right? So I say my piece and I tell her, and she tries to come for me, and I was like, look, I'm not the one. You don't want to start, right? But like, you're really fucking up coming in here without a mask on, and you're being totally selfish, and you're only thinking of yourself, and it's disgusting. And then I turn, I pay for my salad, and all of the ladies are like behind the counter, like, thank you. And I'm like, of course, right? And she just stands there like huffing and puffing, like it's no big deal. At one point she was like, what do you expect me to do? And I was like, I expect you to go home and get your mask and come back when you have your mask. Like, it didn't even cross her mind that because she didn't have a mask, that meant she needed to leave. She's so conditioned to being able to do what she wants to do without people telling her no, that she didn't feel like it was like her responsibility or her duty to leave and go get her mask and come back, right? I mean, there's so much to unpack in this. But the greater point of this video is I knew my values in that moment, right? Whether I could name it but I could feel that there was, like, I felt that internal, like, there's an injustice being done. I was angry. And typically when I'm angry, I know there's an injustice that's happening. And so I listened, and then I thought to myself, what is the right thing to do here? So many people wouldn't say boo. They wouldn't call her out, and they wouldn't hold her accountable for the fact that she thinks she can just go and do and be wherever she wants to go and do and be, because apparently we're living in her universe, right? But me, who has spoken out in such powerful ways sometimes that I've lost jobs, right? In that moment, I felt great fear, right? I was like, because it's uncomfortable, because people are unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. And I was like, who knows? This chick could be crazy. She could attack me. I could be fighting in the middle of Crispin Green. You're like, who knows, right? But I believe that the only way that we create the world that we want to have is when you and I show up and act in alignment with our values, which to me requires an empowered state of being. You have to be strong in order to swing through a situation like that, right? So your homework at the beginning of this video was to make a list of your values and to get really clear about how they show up or how they might be challenged. Everything in these videos is opposite, like when I'm trying to fix my shirt. How they show up in your life, so that when you're out, whatever, you feel it. The other thing, like I said, is like sometimes you may not know. Like you may not have the conscious conversation with yourself about like, oh, my values are being compromised and so I need to speak on it. But you'll just feel something inside. It's like something's off. This is wrong. Something's wrong here. Either way, it's our duty, particularly as white people, right? And I'm saying this as white people because we have the power and we have the privilege and we've had it. We've had it for years and years and years and years and years and years. And people are oppressed and they are hurting because those of us who are white don't speak out on the injustices that we see happening that impact our brown and black brothers and sisters, right? So get clear on your values. And then when you come across something, whether it is a conversation that you see happening on Facebook, a conversation that you have with your family, with a parent or a sibling or a friend or whatever on the phone, right? Where they say something that you know is wrong and that is harmful to somebody, right? In some way, to take a deep breath and swing through and name it, right? We are a culture that is afraid of accountability. And that is one of the most powerful ways that we have continued all of these inequities in this country, is that we don't hold people accountable for the things that they do. And that's because the people who are in power aren't going to hold the people who are like them, accountable. Like everybody's like, in bed with everybody and nobody actually has to feel any heat. But, justice, there's a completely different level of justice for people who are black, right? And these are just facts. And if you'd like to have a conversation about it and learn more, I'd love to talk with you. But we as white people have got to start advocating, speaking out, coveting, centering, protecting, honoring, loving, all of the people who make up this world. We have to. It's up to us. So much of this work falls on our shoulders. And in the spirituality world, so many people would probably say, don't say anything, right? Just like practice kindness. I can't do that when I know that people are suffering. People are dying. And the majority of the people who are suffering and dying are people of color. And it's because people like me are afraid to call out the bullshit when they see it. So if you are a warrior like me, or a warrior in training, maybe I should say, I'm not a full warrior yet. But if you are someone who is truly committed to creating a more just world for everybody, it's created in these micro moments. It's created when the person comes into Crispin Green without the mask. It's created when somebody cracks a joke about a person of color and you decide to let it slide instead of saying, that was rude and disrespectful. and it was racist, and I'm not okay with it. Please don't say jokes like that in front of me, right? It's like, ooh, that's uncomfortable. But those are the types of things that we really have to do. We have to start to name it. And until then, we're going to continue to see the world as it is and wonder, why is the world the way it is? So there's your challenge, your homework. Get clear on your values. Understand what they could and couldn't, what they look like when they could or couldn't be challenged or compromised in the world or in relationships, and what empowered action might look like. And tap into your courage, tap into the love that you have inside of you, that I know you do, for people, and take those courageous steps to name the shit when you see it, because that's the only way. That's the only way that we're going to start to really transform this world, right? So let's be the change. It's on my arm. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Let's be it, you and me, and let's inspire other people to do it too. So get loud, get vocal, demonstrate your values, stick with them. Don't be afraid. Who cares if you piss people off? Who cares if people don't like you? If you're acting in alignment with your values in your heart, if you're doing what's right, you're going to win. You're going to win, period. You're going to win. You may not feel it right away. Might feel like you're losing right away. Might be uncomfortable. But then you can lay your head at night on your pillow and sleep soundly, because you know you're doing something to make this world a better place. So, all of the love to you. High five. Let's each do our part to change the world. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Comment, send me an email, let me know. Have a good day.